I did not lose my savings because I was naive. I lost them because he learned exactly what grief had broken. My name is Helen Carter. I am 68, a widow, and a former Army nurse. After Robert died, a voice appeared. With AI calls, a fake video, and a stolen face I trusted. My daughter warned me. I hid it anyway. The real man in the photos never knew I existed. In this story, I will show you the 4 steps he used, and the one move that would have stopped it. Before Robert died, people did not worry about me. I had spent my life in hospital rooms, staying calm when others were afraid. But grief changed me. After the funeral, everyone went back to their lives. I went back to a house that sounded too empty. Robert's chair was still at the table. His robe was still behind the bedroom door. And every night, I missed one thing more than anything. Someone asking if I was okay. That was where he found me. His first message did not sound dangerous. It sounded kind. He said grief gets louder after everyone goes home. I read it 3 times. Then I cried. Soon came the voice messages. Then the photos. Then the video call. The connection was bad, but I wanted to believe. Later, at the bank, the teller asked, "Have you met him in person?" For 1 second, the truth almost came out. No. But I had heard his voice. I had seen his face. So I said yes. The voice was not proof. The video was not proof. He had learned exactly what I missed, and used AI to stand where my husband used to be. That is why you need to know how the first message worked. Before the first message arrived, I still looked like a woman who had her life together. That is the part people miss. I was not sitting in the dark all day. I was not crying in public. I was not telling everyone I was lonely. I still paid my bills. I still drove to the grocery store. I still answered my daughter's calls. I still smiled when neighbors asked how I was doing. And because I could still function, everyone thought I was healing. But functioning is not the same as being okay. For most of my life, I had been useful. As an Army nurse, people needed me. Soldiers needed me calm. Doctors needed me focused. Families needed me strong. And at home, Robert needed me in the quiet ways a husband needs a wife after 43 years. I knew how he liked his coffee. I knew which pills he forgot. I knew when his knee was hurting before he admitted it. I knew when he was pretending not to worry. Then, suddenly, no one needed me in that same way anymore. My daughter loved me. I know she did. But she had her own family, her own job, her own tired eyes. When she came over, she checked the fridge, fixed the thermostat, and asked if I needed anything. I always said no, because I did not know how to say what I really needed. I did not need groceries. I did not need the mail brought in. I did not need another pamphlet about grief support. I needed someone to notice when I was too quiet. I needed someone to ask if I had eaten. I needed someone to make me feel like I was still a woman, not just a widow people felt sorry for. That was the empty place I tried to hide. And that was the place his first message walked into. Robert and I were not perfect. No marriage that lasts 43 years is perfect. We argued about bills. We argued about his driving. We argued because he always said he was fine when he clearly was not. But we knew each other. That is what I missed most. Not flowers. Not romance. Not big speeches. I missed being known. Robert knew I hated sleeping with the closet door open. He knew I liked my tea too hot. He knew I always checked the front lock twice before bed. He knew when I was upset, even if I said nothing. And I knew him the same way. I knew when his back was hurting by the way he stood at the sink. I knew when he was worried by the way he rubbed his wedding ring. I knew when he wanted to say something kind, but did not know how. After he died, people told me I was lucky. They said, "At least you had real love." And I knew they meant well. But sometimes that made the loneliness worse. Because when you have been loved deeply, silence does not feel empty. It feels like someone is missing from every room. I did not want a new husband. I did not want to replace Robert. I just wanted to feel like someone still noticed me. Someone who remembered my day. Someone who cared if I had eaten. Someone who made me feel like my life was not over just because his was. That is why the first message reached me. Not because I was looking for love. I was looking for proof that I had not disappeared. And the man who wrote to me seemed to understand that before I ever said it out loud. That was the first dangerous thing. He did not sound like a stranger trying to enter my life. He sounded like someone who already knew which part of my life was missing. The first message came on a Thursday evening. I remember that because Thursdays were the hardest. Sundays, my daughter came over. Mondays, I had errands. Tuesdays, I usually went to the pharmacy. Wednesdays, I watched a church service online. But Thursdays had nothing in them. No visit. No appointment. No reason to fix my hair. No reason to cook a real meal. That night, I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea that had gone cold. Robert's chair was across from me. Empty like always. My phone lit up. At first, I thought it was my daughter. But it was a message from a man I did not know. His name said James Whitfield. His photo showed a kind-looking man in uniform. Gray hair. Calm eyes. A face that looked safe. The message was simple. Not romantic. Not strange. Not pushy. He wrote, "I am sorry if this is too personal. I saw your comment about losing your husband. I lost someone too. Some nights are harder than others." I stared at it. I should have deleted it. I know that now. But at that moment, it did not feel like danger. It felt like timing. It felt like someone had walked into the quiet room and said exactly what I had been too ashamed to say. Some nights are harder than others. I read those words again. Then I clicked on his profile. There were photos of him in uniform. Photos near military buildings. Photos with flags behind him. Nothing looked suspicious to me. Maybe because I had spent years around soldiers. Maybe because uniformed men felt familiar. Maybe because I wanted him to be real before I had any reason to trust him. I did not tell my daughter. Not because I was hiding something yet. Because there was nothing to hide. It was just one message. Just one stranger being kind. So I typed back, "Thank you. I understand what you mean." And that was the first door I opened. Not to love. Not to money. To conversation. And I did not know conversation could be the beginning of a trap. The message that changed everything did not say, "I love you." It did not say, "You are beautiful." It did not promise me a future. It was much smaller than that. And that is why it worked. A few days after we started talking, James asked me what I missed most about Robert. I almost did not answer, because the honest answer felt too private. But that night, the house was quiet again. So I typed, "I miss being known." I thought he would say something simple. Something polite. Something people always say when they do not know what else to say. But he did not. A few minutes later, he sent a voice message. His voice was low, careful, warm. He said, "Helen, when someone has loved you for that long, you do not just miss the person. You miss the way they knew how to find you inside the silence." I played it once, then again, then a third time. because it felt like he had reached into the exact part of me I could not explain. That was the moment I stopped thinking of him as a stranger. Not fully, not out loud, but somewhere inside me, a door opened. After that, his messages became part of my evenings. He asked if I had eaten. He asked if I slept. He asked if Thursdays were still hard. He remembered small things. And every time he remembered, I trusted him more. I know now that remembering was part of the trap. He was collecting pieces of me. Robert's name, my routines, my weak hours, my private grief. But back then, it did not feel like collecting. It felt like caring. And when a lonely heart feels cared for, it stops asking the questions that could save it. At first, James never told me to keep him secret. That is what made it work. He did not say, "Do not tell your daughter." He said it softer than that. He said, "Some people will not understand this." Then later, "Your daughter may think I am taking advantage of you." Then, "I do not want to come between you and your family." Those words sounded respectful. They sounded careful. They made him seem like a good man. But now I know what he was doing. He was planting the idea before I even noticed it. The first time my daughter saw me smiling at my phone, she asked, "Who is that?" I locked the screen too quickly. She noticed. I said, "Just a friend." She looked at me for a second longer than usual. Not angry, worried. That should have told me something. But when I told James about it, he sounded hurt. Not loud, not cruel, just wounded. He said, "Helen, I understand. Your daughter loves you. But sometimes children forget their parents are still people." That sentence stayed with me. Because part of me believed it. My daughter checked on my pills, my groceries, my appointments, my mail. But James asked about my heart. So when he said she might judge me, I believed him. Not because my daughter was unkind. Because I was ashamed of needing someone. After that, I became careful. I turned my phone face down. I deleted a few messages. I changed his contact name. I told myself I was protecting my privacy. But I was not protecting privacy. I was protecting the feeling he gave me. The feeling that I was still wanted. Still chosen. Still a woman. Not just a widow. That is how secrecy becomes dangerous. It does not feel like a warning sign at first. It feels like the only safe place left. And once I started hiding him from my daughter, he no longer had to fight my family. I had already helped him keep them out. There was one afternoon when I almost told my daughter everything. I still think about that day. She came over without calling first. That was not like her. She said she was nearby, but I knew my daughter. She had been worried. I was in the kitchen when she walked in. My phone was on the table. James had just sent a voice message. I had not played it yet. But his name lit up on the screen. Not James Whitfield. The name I had changed it to. J.W. Office. My daughter saw it. She looked at the phone. Then she looked at me. "Mom," she said softly, "who is J.W. Office?" I felt my face get hot. I could have told her then. I could have said, "There is a man I have been talking to." I could have said, "I think I care about him, but I am scared." I could have handed her the phone. That one choice may have saved me. But shame moved faster than truth. I picked up the phone and said, "It is nothing." She did not believe me. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, in Robert's chair. And that made everything worse. She said, "Mom, I need you to be careful with people online." I hated the way that sounded. Careful. Like I was a child. Like I could not judge people anymore. Like being lonely had made me weak. I know now she was trying to protect me. But in that moment, it felt like she was trying to take away the only thing that made me feel alive. So I defended him. I said he was kind. I said he understood loss. I said he had served his country. I said he had never asked me for anything. And that part was still true. He had not asked for money, yet. So my daughter had no proof. Only a feeling. And I used that against her. I said, "You do not want me to be happy." The second those words left my mouth, I saw the hurt in her face. She stood up slowly. She said, "That is not true." But I had already made my choice. Not out loud. Not fully. But inside, I had chosen the person who comforted me over the person who questioned me. After she left, I cried. Then I played James's voice message. He sounded gentle. He sounded sad. He said, "Helen, I never wanted to cause trouble between you and your daughter." Then he paused and said the line that pulled me all the way back. "Maybe she only sees you as a mother. I see you as a woman." That was the moment I stopped listening to the warning. Because the warning sounded like loss. And his lie sounded like love. After that fight with my daughter, I asked James for proof. Not because I wanted to catch him. Because I needed him to be real. I needed something strong enough to quiet my daughter's warning. So I asked, "Can we talk face to face?" For almost an hour, he did not answer. Then he wrote, "Helen, I thought you trusted me." That sentence made me feel guilty. I told him I did trust him. I just needed to see him. A few minutes later, he said, "Okay. For you." That night, my phone rang. Video call. When his face appeared, the screen was dark. The picture froze. His mouth did not always match the words. The lighting looked strange. But he smiled. He said my name. Helen. And in that moment, I stopped looking for what was wrong. I only saw what I needed to see. A face. A voice. A man who looked real enough for my heart to stop fighting my mind. The call lasted less than a minute. He said the connection was bad. Then the screen froze again, and the call ended. If my daughter had seen it, maybe she would have noticed the delay. Maybe she would have questioned the way his face barely moved. But I did not. I wanted proof. And he had given me just enough. After that, the voice messages became even more powerful. "Did you eat today? I wish I was there. You do not have to be strong with me." Then one night, he said, "Robert was lucky to be loved by you." That broke me. Because I had given him Robert's name. I had told him what I missed. And now those details came back in a voice that sounded warm, patient, and real. That is what made the proof dangerous. It was not just AI. It was my own grief speaking back to me. After that video call, my daughter's warning no longer sounded like protection. It sounded like doubt. And doubt felt cruel. So I stopped asking why the calls were short. I stopped asking why the video was blurry. I stopped asking why I could never meet him in person. I told myself a scammer would not show his face. But that was the trap. The face was stolen. The voice was shaped. And I had given him the words to make both feel real. The first time James asked for money, he did not call it money. He called it help. That made it easier to hear. He said there was a problem with his account. Some delay. Some paperwork. Something about being overseas and not being able to access his own funds. I did not understand all of it. But he sounded embarrassed. That mattered to me. He said, "Helen, I hate asking you this." Then he went quiet. And that silence worked on me. Because I had spent my whole life helping people who were hurting. As an army nurse, when someone said they needed help, I moved. I did not stand there asking if their pain was convenient. James knew that part of me by then. He knew I did not like seeing people suffer. He knew I was proud of being dependable. He knew I had spent my life being the calm one. So he made the problem feel urgent. Not huge at first. Just enough. Just temporary. Just until his account cleared. He said, "If this is too much, I understand." But then he added, "I just do not know who else to ask." That was the hook. Not the amount. The idea that I was the only one who could help him. Then came the clock. He said it had to be today. He said if it waited, everything would get worse. He said if I told my daughter, she would panic and stop me before she understood. And I believed that because my daughter had already warned me. So now her warning sounded like the thing that could ruin everything. I remember staring at my phone, feeling my chest tighten. Part of me wanted to call her. Part of me wanted to ask someone. But another part of me thought, what if he really needs me? What if this is the moment I prove I trust him? That is what pressure does. It turns love into a test. And once love becomes a test, saying no feels like betrayal. My daughter knew something was wrong before I admitted anything. Mothers think they hide pain from their children, but daughters notice. She noticed I was keeping my phone close. She noticed I stopped leaving it on the table when she visited. She noticed I was nervous when it buzzed. One Sunday, she came over with groceries and found me sitting in the kitchen staring at a message from James. I turned the screen off too quickly. She saw that. "Mom," she said, "is this about that man?" I said, "What man?" The lie came out too fast. Her face changed. Not angry. Scared. She sat across from me and said, "Please tell me you are not sending him money." I felt insulted. Not because she was wrong. Because she was close. I told her James was not like that. I told her he had served his country. I told her he had shown me his face. I told her he had never made me feel foolish or old or alone. She said, "Mom, scammers can fake all of that now." That word made me cold. Scammer. It made everything I felt sound dirty. It made my comfort sound stupid. It made my loneliness sound like a mistake. So I defended him harder. I said, "You do not know him." She said, "Neither do you." That should have stopped me. But instead it hurt me. Because deep down, part of me knew she was right. I had never touched his hand. Never met his family. Never seen where he lived. Never called a number I found myself. But James had already prepared me for this moment. He had told me my daughter might not understand. He had told me she would think I was too old to be loved. So when she warned me, I did not hear protection. I heard judgment. I told her to stop treating me like a child. She started crying. She said, "I am treating you like my mother." But I would not listen. Not because I loved James more than my daughter. Because by then, losing James felt like losing Robert all over again. And that is how the warning got blocked. Not by logic, by fear, by shame, by the terrible thought that maybe the only person making me feel alive was about to be taken away. The next morning, James sent me instructions. Not all at once. One message at a time. That made it feel less frightening. First, he told me the amount. Then the account details. Then what to say if anyone asked questions. He said, "Helen, this is only temporary." He said, "I will pay you back as soon as I get access." He said, "Please do not let anyone make you afraid of helping me." But I was already afraid. I just did not want to admit what I was afraid of. I was not only afraid of losing the money. I was afraid of losing him. At the bank, the air felt colder than usual. I remember standing in line with my purse held tight against my side. My phone kept buzzing. James was messaging me the whole time. "Are you there? Did they call you yet? Please stay calm, sweetheart." There it was again. Sweetheart. That word still had power over me. When the teller called me forward, I placed the paper on the counter. She looked at the amount. Then she looked at me. Her voice changed. "Ma'am, what is this transfer for?" I said what James told me to say. "It is for a personal matter." She asked if I knew the person receiving it. I said yes. She asked if anyone was pressuring me. I said no. But my phone was in my purse, buzzing like a heartbeat. The teller did not look convinced. She said, "Have you met him in person?" That question made the room feel still. For 1 second, I saw my daughter's face. I heard her say, "Mom, scammers can fake all of that now." I almost stopped. I almost stepped away from the counter. Then my phone buzzed again. "Please, Helen. If this fails, I do not know what will happen to me." And that was enough. I signed the form. The money left my account with a few strokes of a pen. 43 years of saving. Overtime shifts. Careful spending. Trips Robert, and I never took. All of it moved away from me while I stood there pretending I was in control. When I walked out of the bank, I expected to feel relief. Instead, I felt sick. But James called it love. So I did too. After the money was sent, James changed. Not all at once. Just enough for me to feel it. Before, his messages felt warm. After the transfer, they became shorter. More urgent. More nervous. At first, he thanked me. He said I had saved him. He said no one had ever loved him with that kind of trust. I wanted those words to make me feel better. But they did not. Because something inside me had gone quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Warning quiet. The kind of quiet you feel when your body knows something before your mind is ready to say it. Then, 2 days later, another problem appeared. There was a fee, a delay, a document that needed clearing, a person who had to be paid before the funds could release. I remember staring at the message and feeling my stomach drop. Because part of me already knew. This was not ending. But if I admitted that, then I had to admit the first payment was a mistake. And if the money was a mistake, maybe the voice was too. Maybe the video was too. Maybe every sweetheart had been planned. That was too painful to face. So I argued with myself. I told myself real emergencies can have complications. I told myself people overseas have problems I do not understand. I told myself James was embarrassed, not lying. Then he said, "Helen, please. We are so close." So close. Those 2 words kept me trapped. So close to him visiting. So close to proving my daughter wrong. So close to making the money mean something. That is what I understand now. The second payment was not just about helping him. It was about saving the first payment from becoming shame. I did not want to send more. But I also did not want the first money to be gone for nothing. So I bought the gift cards. I scratched the backs. I sent the numbers. One by one. Each number felt like a small door closing behind me. And after I sent the last one, I sat at the kitchen table and waited for relief. But relief never came. Only another message. Another delay. Another reason he could not come. That was when I felt the truth standing near me. I just was not ready to look at it yet. The truth did not come from James. It came from my daughter. She came to my house the next morning with her laptop under her arm and fear on her face. I knew before she said anything. A mother knows that look. She sat beside me at the kitchen table. Not across from me. Beside me. Like she was afraid I might break. She opened the laptop and said, "Mom, I need you to look at something." On the screen was the photo of James. The same photo I had looked at for months. The same calm eyes. The same gray hair. The same face I thought I loved. Then my daughter clicked another page. Same face. Different name. Different country. Different life. There were pictures of him with his wife. Pictures of his children. Pictures from years before James ever messaged me. My daughter was shaking when she spoke. She said, "This is the real man. His photos were stolen." I wanted to argue. I wanted to say she was wrong. I wanted to grab my phone and call James and hear him explain it. But my hands would not move. Because deep down, the truth had already arrived. I just had not opened the door. The man in the photos was real. But he was not James. He had never written to me. Never called me sweetheart. Never asked if I had eaten. Never promised to come see me. He had never even heard my name. Then my daughter showed me another page. A warning about fake video calls. Stolen photos. AI voice messages. Romance scams targeting widows. I stared at the words, but I could barely read them. Because all I could hear was his voice. The voice I had trusted. The voice I had played at night when the house was too quiet. The voice that had used the name of Robert like it cared. That was the moment I understood the worst part. I had not been loved by a man. I had been studied by a stranger. Every memory I shared had become material. Every lonely night had become a weakness. Every private detail had become a tool. My daughter reached for my hand. I pulled away at first. Not because I blamed her. Because I was ashamed. Ashamed that she had warned me. Ashamed that I had hidden it. Ashamed that I had chosen a fake voice over a real daughter sitting in front of me. Then I looked back at the screen. The real man was smiling in a family photo. A normal photo. A happy photo. And I finally said the words I had been fighting for months. He never knew me. My daughter squeezed my hand and said, "No, Mom." He did not. That sentence should have made me angry. But it only made me empty. Because the money was gone. The man was gone. The voice was gone. And the silence Robert left behind was still there. Only now, it had shame sitting inside it. After the truth came out, I did not want to answer the phone. I did not want to open messages. I did not want to look at my bank account. But most of all, I did not want to look at my daughter. Not because she had done anything wrong. Because she had tried to save me. And I had pushed her away. I kept saying the same thing. How could I be so stupid? My daughter sat beside me and said, "Mom, you were not stupid. You were targeted." At first, I did not believe her. Because shame is loud. Shame tells you everyone will laugh. Shame tells you your family will never trust you again. Shame tells you to hide the truth. But hiding is what gave him power in the first place. So I am telling you now, not because it is easy, because someone watching this may be sitting alone tonight, waiting for a message that feels too kind to question. And I need you to hear this before that happens. Voice is not proof. Video is not proof. A photo is not proof. A uniform is not proof. A loving message is not proof. Secrecy is the warning. Urgency is the warning. Gift cards are the warning. Wire transfers are the warning. And anyone who truly loves you will not ask you to hide them from your family. The move that would have stopped this was simple. I should have paused. I should have called my daughter. I should have searched the photo. I should have called an official number. I should have said, I do not send money to anyone I have not met in person. That one rule could have saved me. So make it your family rule today. Before the message, before the voice note, before the fake emergency, before the money leaves. If someone online asks for money, secrecy, gift cards, wire transfers, or urgent help, stop. Call one real person who loves you. Not the number they give you. Not the contact they send. Call your daughter, your son, your neighbor, your bank. Someone real. Because love can wait. A real person can be verified. A real emergency can be checked. But a scammer needs speed. A scammer needs silence. A scammer needs you ashamed before anyone can help you. If this story made you think of your mother, your grandmother, your father, or someone who lives alone, please share it with them today. And if you want to protect more families from scams that now use voices, videos, and fake love, subscribe. Leave one word in the comments. Verify. Because that word may remind someone to stop before they send the money. My name is Helen Carter. I was not foolish. I was grieving. And he used AI to stand where my husband used to be. But now I know the rule. Voice is not proof.